Well, it's a beautiful Monday morning by Nobleford, Alberta. I'm going to take a look at a bunch of stuff today, and yeah, barley in this field looking pretty good. We're just coming into hard dough stage here now. These heads are nice and plump and full and doing very well. Could probably use another rain here fairly soon. We're starting to get a little bit dry in the soil moisture here, but that's how the barley's looking right now. Here's a blister beetle on this canola flower here. I'm seeing quite an increase in these this week. In this field I got 6 and 10 sweeps, so they are definitely around. They're not at an economic threshold, especially at this time for spraying, but be careful when handling them with your bare hands. The reason why they're called a blister beetle is they can actually give you a chemical burn. Here's the edge of the wheat field that had the grasshoppers so bad last week that they were getting killed by a fungus. And down here on the ground you can see there is, well, they're pretty hard to see actually, but there is just an absolute pile of dead grasshoppers. There's just thousands and thousands and thousands of them down here, just absolutely everywhere. You can see all the feeding they were doing on these lower leaves here just chewed right off. You can see there's one there that's been killed by the fungus up on the stem. But there is still a few grasshoppers because of course they have to, feed on it to actually get the coragen in them. And that's why it's so effective on grasshoppers, but not on other beneficials. So this guy, he's probably ingested some, or the fungus is after him because he's not very lively. And oh, in here you can see we got a little bit of stripe rust in here as well. Nobleford area corn is still developmentally behind Lethbridge area just due to less heat units and weather incidents, but we're getting close to that tassel timing, so it's up above these upper leaves here now, above the collars, but still at least one, 2 leaf away from emergence. So probably in about a week we should start to see the first tassels coming out. So this would be a good time to do 10 gallons of UAN through the pivot, put down another 28 pounds of nitrogen just in time for tasseling. Well, most of the canola in Nobleford area is pretty much finished blooming now, just in final blooms. A couple days of hot weather's pretty much finished her off. Insects still pretty low numbers. There's some Lygus nymphs in here, but overall very, very few. 10 sweeps I've got, maybe 6 or 7, so nothing to worry about. Oh, here's some aster yellows I just found in the field. I haven't seen too much of this year. This is a disease that comes in on infected leaf hoppers that blow in out of the southwest. It can be a yield reducer when it's in really high quantities in a field, but we seldom see that in southern Alberta, more commonly in southern Saskatchewan. But kind of an interesting disease. It tries to modify the flowering parts of the plant to turn into more leaves to attract more leaf hoppers to further spread the disease. You can't see much of a line here in the field from the ground, but this is where the Modus, growth regulator from Syngenta, was applied, so this side is unapplied. Should be a line right there, and then this side was applied. And from the ground you can't see any difference at all, but from the drone you can really see it. I'll put some pictures here. Here you can really see the square where we did 40 acres of Modus. It shows up really well in the naked imagery here. However, when you turn on the plant health imagery, you don't see much of a difference. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference will be at harvest. Tuesday morning now, and still west of Nobleford, and in an unsprayed durum field, still finding a fair bit of rust, although the temperatures this week should be high enough to kind of hopefully prevent further spread. Rust is not like to spread when it's over 20 degrees. Here's that untreated field of AC Sedash again, and you can see how much rust is on some of these flag leaves here. So that's really going to be affecting how the grain fills. The whole canopy is basically, the upper canopy is all full of rust, lower canopy is mostly tan spot and septoria, but there's quite a lot of the leaf material is affected by disease, so that would definitely affect the grain yield if that would be getting combine. You'd have a lot of shrunken kernels, but this will probably get silaged kind of end of the week. And here's the field of Sedash that got treated back on the 7th with Prosaro XTR, and you can see the flag leaves are much, much healthier. There's a little bit of rust starting to reactivate here and there, but pretty few and far between compared to the untreated field. By Fort Macleod here now in a dryland durum field, seeing quite the increase in grasshoppers this week. Some of these guys are getting pretty big. Threshold on 2-stripe grasshoppers is about 2 per square meter. We're also starting to see a little bit of rust in here, so not unsurprising to see that. This particular field I'll be recommending the headlands get sprayed with coragen for grasshopper control. Oh, now I'm up by Carmen Gate. It's about 33 degrees up here today, and this canola that got wiped out by hail about a month ago is developing blackleg pretty badly in the roots and in the damaged stems. So far it's severity of about 2 out of 5. So nutrition and nutrients are still able to get up into the flowering bits of the plant, but if it develops much worse, it'll start to really drag it down, and we'll probably be lucky if this field actually produces about 20 bushels, but that's not bad considering it was basically 100% wiped out by hail. Back over by Nobleford now and taking a look at some dryland barley. This barley is doing really nice here. We're in soft dough stage. Heads are developing really well. They're getting nice and full and heavy, starting to nod over a bit. As far as disease goes, there's nothing that's worth spraying at this point, so we're basically just waiting for this to mature and dry down before harvest now. I got called out to some fields west of Nobleford that aren't my normal fields here. I'm assuming this is probably Brandon wheat. It looks like Brandon. And they wanted to make sure the rust in here wasn't a problem, and there is some rust just starting in here. Very little though. It's kind of few and far between, and very early infections from what I'm seeing here. So at this point the wheat has flowered. We are into milk stage here for the most part now. These heads are just starting to fill, so we're pretty much out of the prime spraying window as far as the timing on the wheat goes, because most fungicides will have a 35-day withdrawal period before harvest. So at this point, this field, infection rate less than 5%, not worth spraying. Out here by Coaldale, and it's a bit of a windy Wednesday morning, which should hopefully give me a nice break from wearing a pile of mosquito repellent. The oats are up basically 4-leaf stage now and are doing really good. Starting to tiller out on us already here, so this will be a savage crop in no time the way it's growing. We do have some red root pigweed and a few other weeds starting to grow in here, but nothing too serious. Irrigated barley in the Colehurst area doing really good, up into soft dough stage here and developing really nice. Should be a good yielder in this one. Alder wheat by Colehurst is looking pretty good. Absolute pile of heads in here. This is usually a really high yielding wheat, however it is a very late maturing variety. Bacterial stripe still continues to develop through the canopy in this field. Nothing we can do about it, but we did spray Prosaro in here, which did cure the rust, so the rust is no longer active in here, so at least we got that going for us. There's some nice looking canola plants just pulled out of a field by Colehurst. Huge big plants, this Pioneer 45M35. However, you can see we kind of missed the boat a little bit with our timing on fungicide, and we do have some early infection here. So this particular one here, the whole main stem is pretty much girdled and is starting to crisp up and get hollow. Whereas this one here, the main stem does have a lesion on it, but it's not all the way through yet. However, it will definitely kill this little side branch, which would be where the infection came in. And then down here we got another side branch here that is also affected. So not nice to see that, but not to be unexpected, especially this year with the early season moisture and humidity we've had. No doubt there's going to be a lot of Schlerotinia out there. Well, it's an overcast, cool morning down by McGrath today, but the AC Congress Durham is looking really good. Heads are starting to fill here. Not quite soft dough yet, but we're in the milk stage, and as far as leaf health and everything goes, we're doing pretty good. The odd little bit of grasshopper damage here and there, but economically not worth spraying for. Lentils down here looking really good. They're not quite knee high, but looking not too bad. Lots of little pods are forming in here now, although there is a couple small spots in the field that have root rot, but overall looking pretty good. Just did a sweep for aphids in the lentils, and some of them have escaped now, but I would say that I was likely about 300-ish aphids in here in 10 sweeps, so that is pretty much at threshold. We're going to come into this field and hit it with another fungicide anyways, so we're going to take care of the bugs at the same time. Well, here's a field flag from an unrelated company, but on the left here, this was not treated with Prosaro. This was on the 18th, and you can see on the side that was not treated, we do have quite a bit of active rust. This is in view field wheat, which is a very resistant wheat to rust, but it is still in here. And on the treated side, you can see you still have the marks in the leaf from it. However, there is no active spores on the leaf, so it is under control. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.